Right, here we go. Note the dog water. Let's just move my boots. Oh, one came unfrozen. There we go. Awesome. Hey guys, so it's been about a week since the cold snap hit and all frozen hell broke loose with me living in my van. So I'm sure, as you can tell, this is not a van. This is in fact an apartment. An apartment that I was very lucky to get, and I'm very thankful that it was an option. So I guess I'll just kind of start from the beginning. Sunday night, so last Sunday night, was the first night of the cold snap. So it was like -35, -40 degrees Celsius. When I went to go to bed, I turned my heater on and it was just blowing ice cold air, full blast. It was working for a little bit, but then of course as soon as it became nighttime, it started just pumping out cold air. Judging by what my heater had been doing, I knew that it was just going to blow cold air at me. And so I had to make the decision of if I wanted cold air or if I just wanted no air and just the cold being still. So I took the second option because cold with nothing versus cold with air conditioning is a little bit better. I didn't sleep very well. It was definitely my worst night in a van so far. Like, I did all last winter and I've been saying like, oh, it's fine, I did all last winter in a van with no heat, it's no big deal. But this was different. This was really cold. This was like I said, like -40 Celsius, and it's a lot. It's really cold. So I didn't really sleep very well. I woke up a lot throughout the night and I was sore from just kind of like being curled up in a fetal position. And if I moved even like a centimeter from the position that I was in, even like the sheets were frozen. Dewey wasn't cold because he was like in my arms as I was sleeping, so he was getting all of the warmth that there was to get from me, but I didn't really have much going on. I didn't work the next day, so I stayed in bed pretty late, just because the idea of getting out of a cold bed and going into an even colder outside world wasn't really that appealing because it was still just as cold outside. So when I eventually did wake up at like 10 or something and got out of bed, everything was frozen. Everything, like dish soap and like everything in my fridge, all my water, Dewey's water, anything liquid was frozen. And I was sore. Like I was hurting from just laying still in the cold that long. I felt like I was just falling apart. And so yeah, I didn't really know what to do. I tried my heater. It would kind of run for a couple minutes, then shut off like it had been doing. So I packed my backpack and Dewey up and we walked over to my work, which was actually closed because it's so cold. I work at a ski hill at the snow school and pretty much everything was closed. They couldn't even get one of the chairlifts running. It was terrible outside. And my phone, like, it was so cold overnight that my phone was just stuck on the Apple logo and it wouldn't turn on, it wouldn't turn off, like nothing. So I had no phone and everything was frozen. I'm freezing, Dewey's frozen. So I go to work, I steal a computer, go on Facebook. What do? Message my mom, my dad, tell them I'm still alive. And then I figured, like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. I should probably try to find a place inside. So I went and talked to the people that are in charge of like housing at the hill, and I was lucky to get this place temporarily for a really good price. So yeah, that's all good. That's all fine and dandy. So I went back to my van and I was like, sweet, so I'll just pack up my van to drive and I'll drive it up to where the apartment is and then I'll unpack it there. And then when I went to start my van, nothing happened. Well, not nothing, it made like terrible noises. It's like the battery wasn't dead, but it turns out that I didn't have a block heater in my brand new diesel, when in Canada, like every diesel has a block heater. I didn't, so diesel gels, and so my diesel was more than likely gel, and my van wouldn't turn on. So I was like, okay, sweet. So I packed up all my stuff, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to like ask a friend to drive me up there, because it wasn't really walking distance. Like you can walk, but it's like an hour uphill. So that wasn't really ideal with like all my stuff and the dog in like -30. So I had to walk back and I had to go and get a landline and ask her boss to find like her employee papers to get her number. So then luckily I was got picked up by her. She came down, got me, went up, all was well. I figured that I would go to town with her because she was going to town that night, and I would try to get a block heater for my van. And then that's when I learned that you can't just get any regular universal block heater for a Mercedes, of course, because it can't be easy. You know, the more you pay for a vehicle, the less easy things get with it. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm a little screwed. And then I was like, okay, hopefully it'll start tomorrow because I had to go to town, do things anyway. So I got all settled in this apartment, and then the next day I was off work as well. And so I went back to my van and I tried to start it. Nothing happened. And I was like, okay, sweet, so I'm not going to town today. That's fine, it'll probably start like Thursday. And if this was Tuesday now, and I'm like, if it doesn't start Thursday, I'm gonna have to get it towed, and I'm gonna have to get it taken somewhere to be defrosted and have a block heater put in it. So on Tuesday, same day, turns out that my friend was in the next town over, which is where the Mercedes is, and so he was able to pick up a block heater for me. So I was like, sweet, I'll get a block heater put in. It's not the kind of thing I can do on my own because it involves cutting the radiator hose, which I don't want to get involved in. So yeah, once again, taking my car to a mechanic instead of just doing it myself because I don't want to get involved. So then now we're at Wednesday. I'm just gonna see if it'll start. And I popped the hood because I'd been putting a battery booster on it when I tried to start it, because I know that the battery wasn't like dead. That wasn't the reason why it wasn't starting. But obviously it was so cold, the battery's not going to be at a full charge. So I was just trying to give it a little help and encouragement to turn over. But when I opened the hood, I saw like a little like snowflake frosty pattern all over the outside of my coolant little vessel. So I'm gonna give it a little tap. You can insert the video here. Frozen coolant. Oil will not open. Van will not turn on. So yeah, coolant was totally frozen. I tried to open the oil cap, couldn't even turn it. The brake fluid didn't look as liquidy as it probably normally is. Everything was frozen. And diesel I already knew was gelled. I did put additive in it the day before that a neighbor had given me. I thought maybe like overnight it would eat away at the diesel and turn back on the next day, but it didn't. So I was kind of like, okay, I need to take it somewhere to get it defrosted, get the block heater in, because although it is gonna warm up a little bit, it's not gonna warm up enough to thaw out an entirely frozen engine. So I called a local mechanic and they're like, why are you calling us? It's a 2018, it has warranty. Why don't you just call them? And so I was like, I don't think that it was like a warranty issue. So I was like, whatever, and I called Mercedes anyway, and Mercedes informed me that with my extended warranty that I have, it also includes roadside. So I can get towed for free from wherever I'm stuck to the nearest Mercedes and then take it from there. So I did that, and they came Thursday morning at like 8 a.m. and the tow truck driver was lovely. He spent like 20 minutes digging my van out while he was waiting for me to get down there. Not that it was super buried. I had like, if I could have started it, then I could have just backed out in 4-wheel drive, which it was already in, and I couldn't get it out of because it wouldn't turn on, and it's a button, it's not a manual thing. So they had to put it on these really scary looking dollies, which are like a little tiny wheels sets that the front wheels would go on, and it looked terrifying, and it was so high off the ground, and I just kind of was like, you know, okay, I guess this is what insurance is for. As the roads were snowy because it'd been snowing, and yeah, so I was like, okay, whatever, take it there. But yeah, so yesterday, which was Friday, Mercedes called me and told me that it is ready to be picked up. So I'm gonna go get it on Monday. What they did was they like defrosted everything and they checked everything to make sure that there was no damage done from where I had been trying to start it, and everything was frozen, but everything was good, and they put the block heater in, and it's an extra good thing that it went to Mercedes. The block heater that I was sold initially was not the correct one for my vehicle because my van has a dual alternator, which apparently means that you have to put a different block heater in it. So good thing it went there. It's all good to go now. It's running. It's just kind of sitting locked up on their lot. And I'm gonna go get it Monday. My friend is going to drive me into town, which is very lovely of him. Yeah, so I guess that's it for now. I'm still in the apartment until I can get my heater situation sorted. I'm not really that keen to move back into the van quite yet if I know that I'm going to be super cold in it. It's still like in the -10 to -20 range, especially at night, which is where it really gets you, because during the day I'm outside anyway. It's better for Dewey as well to be somewhere warm. Luckily hopefully with the block heater now, once I plug that in, I won't have any more issues with it freezing up and starting. Another kind of epiphany I had the other day when I was on the phone with my dad, we were talking about how the diesel gelled, and I have diesel appliances. How is a diesel appliance supposed to take the diesel from the fuel tank and do things with it to make things hot if the diesel's turned to gel? So the reason why it might have been blowing cold air could have been because it didn't have anything to burn to make it hot, so it was just like a fan like pumping out cold air. So yes, but I'm gonna put additive in my fuel from now on because it is a diesel and I am in Canada and it's cold here, and I had been running it, I had been starting it, and it was starting every day up until when it got really cold. I have a warm place to sleep until I get my heater situation sorted. So yeah, let's finish this off. So I'm not going to show you much of the kitchen because I just cooked and it's kind of dirty now because I haven't cleaned up yet. So this is the kitchen, but I have multiple burners, which is such a luxury. Dewey, what do you think about living inside? We've lived in 2 vans, 1 truck, 1 tent, but we've never had an apartment to ourselves, have we? No. I did get really lucky with this little dog because he doesn't really care what's going on. He's super easy. He'll put up with whatever. He's like, oh, okay. We live here now. This is home now. Okay. Can I just have my yogurt?